Mars could gain no ground without leaving ground vulnerable to insurrection. The men of Mars slaughtered entire communities to punish even the slightest resistance. They killed all the more to reduce the regional populations to manageable levels. The atrocities strengthened the resolve of the conquered to resist. The people of Atlantis and Lemuria were assured of the righteousness of their own cause. Egypt, Thule, and Cimmeria feared the defeat of Mars would bring bloody vengeance against them.
We kill them 10-1, but they outnumber us 20-1. We must sink Atlantis if we are to end all hope against us. The united front of the enemy shall become an aimless mob.
We are not outnumbered 20-1. Our allies are twice our number. We are winning as things are. Our allies leave us to do all the fighting whilst their own men sit where we have already conquered. They hold our gains and secure our supply lines, as we have asked of them. Let us do as we are doing, and we are sure to prevail.
We cannot invade Atlantis, much less conquer it. That island shall forever vex me till I have sent it to the bottom of its otherwise protective sea.
My lord, no one wins a hyperdimensional war. Mutual destruction is assured, and must I remind to no avail.
Deimos was human flesh of inhuman spirit. The fear of death was true to his corporeal nature. Nergal was entirely spirit, and entirely inhuman. His body was not dust and water, but rather ether and fire. Nergal would prevail completely or fail utterly, as was the way of his cosmic nature. Triton, Thaddeus, and Gregory visited the Temple of Poseidon. They entered the sanctum barefoot and knelt and bowed before the towering idol of their god. The statue was gold on its surface, but hollow within, as was the entity it represented. The eyes opened as if the eyes of a living man, and the form moved as if flesh and blood indeed. The voice of Poseidon uttered from the mouth of the idol,
"Take heed that the enemy cannot set foot upon my land."
The three mortal men would not look up.
"Tell me what I already know."
O great Poseidon, why has your brother turned against you? Why does he send the men of Mars to conquer our world?
"He is a jealous god. He would that there would be no gods before him."
He means to destroy you?
"Not yet. He means to humble me that by reasons of breakings I shall sing his praises. It is his will that I proclaim him the Lord of Spirits."
O great Poseidon, the world of oceans was destroyed by hyperdimensional warfare. Shall the land of the sea suffer the same fate? Should we kill Mars before they strike the death blow?
"Not yet. Lucifer is the Lord of Nergal. Lucifer would rather men live to worship him. To destroy his men is to leave him with only his anger. We cannot destroy his anger, and it has already destroyed a world."
The Martians were never outfought, but guerrilla warfare was not about winning. Counterinsurgency operations were grueling no matter the prowess of warriors.
We have a third of the earth and never more. Why are we, the invaders, defending ourselves?
The Martians insisted their allies join in the hunting and killing of partisans. They led a joint and aggressive operation to quell resistance once and for all. The Martians filled buildings with people, then set the buildings ablaze. They herded crowds into pits, then buried them alive with bulldozers. They used entrenching tools as axes and bludgeons to hack and smash the heads of prisoners. The conquered and allies alike were horrified. The men of Mars were unlike the men of Earth in all ways terrible. 3.5 years of conventional and guerrilla warfare killed 100 million people, most of them civilians. The Martian reign of terror strengthened resistance against them and alienated their horrified allies. The men of Thule remembered they were men of Earth, and they turned on their Martian allies. They did not attack the Egyptians or Cimmerians. The resolve of Egypt and Cimmeria to fight alongside men from another world wavered. Atlantis promised to forgive them if they joined against the invaders.
Thule shall not survive this betrayal.
Nergal's materialized form glowed, and his eyes lit up as he growled in a voice like the voice of many.
Burn them!
A hyperdimensional attack shall provoke a hyperdimensional response.
Our capability shall overpower that of Thule. My wrath shall give Atlantis pause.
Tornadoes appeared throughout the land of Thule. The swirling winds became fire, and the fire swept across the land, blasting and burning all in their path until all was rubble, smoke, and ash. The soldiers of Thule, away in foreign lands, wailed and gnashed their teeth. Atlantis responded, mindful to avoid the troops of Egypt and Samaria, as it summoned tornadoes and lightning storms against the troops of Mars. The Martians retaliated with hurricanes and tsunamis.
Sink Atlantis!
The full power of the planet Mars was channeled to rack the continent of Atlantis with earthquakes. The towns and cities of Atlantis succumbed to liquefaction, and the dead were buried as they perished. The partisans in every occupied territory rose up against the Martians. The conventional forces of Atlantis led the nations into the fray. Egypt and Samaria joined them. The fierce and fearless men of Mars were being overwhelmed. They fought for their lives to escape to the portals back to their own world.
They are coming!
President Nergal warned the people of Mars.
They left you to die, but you survived the tribulation. They mean to do by the sword what flood, drought, and famine could not. Meet them when they come, my people. May every man, woman, and child of Mars prove a warrior. The great day of the final battle be upon us.
The Martians channeled the energy of Mars into a protective field, but knew it could not endure. Their world was broken and its energies feeble. The systems built to channel the energies were specialized to provide a destructive capability. The armies of Earth would come. They would establish points of innovation, and Mars would be at the mercy of a vengeful enemy. The end of the world was nigh. The soldiers of Thule were eager to avenge their homeland. They would be the vanguard for the invasion of Mars. The Atlanteans would follow, and the Lemurians and lesser nations after them. Tornadoes swept across the awaiting Martian forces. Storms of artificial lightning struck men dead and fried machines and devices. Arcane masonry was blasted to bits by concentrated bolts. The Martians hurled whirlwinds of fire at the invaders and conjured sandstorms to cover their own movements. For all the hyperdimensional warfare and its mass destruction, conventional and guerrilla warfare raged relentlessly. An army of men battled armies of men with firearms, artillery, and armored fighting vehicles. People rose up from their homes to defend their homes, using every weapon available or improvised. Jets, turboprops, helicopters, tilt rotors, and unmanned drones fought from the sky, as did hyperdimensional craft. The world of war resisted the men of Earth every step of the way, fiercely and bitterly. The wrath of Earth proved just as fierce and just as bitter. The men of Mars lost ground, and those left behind were butchered on the spot or driven out into the desert to die. Monoliths and stone circles were erected across Mars by the Masons of Earth. The very planet Mars was robbed of its strength, and the strength turned against it. The Great Pyramid of Sidonia was blasted, as was the Temple of the Unseen One. Mars was now deprived of its strategic hyperdimensional capability. Earth was ready to deal the death blow. The armies of Earth fled the world of war, but not for fear of it. A swirling in the sky flashed and rumbled before shooting a mighty bolt into the Earth of Mars. The white light cut across the planet and tore the sky open as it did so. It reversed the gravity where it struck, and ground shot upwards into the heavens. The people of Mars wailed and gnashed their teeth over the shrieking howls of the mighty sandstorms that obliterated every village, town, and city, and buried the rubble and victims alike.
My lord, save us!
Why?
Nergal began to glow, and his face became like lightning, and his eyes like burning coals.
I am the god of war. I shall not suffer weaklings to survive.
Nergal disappeared from the material plane, the immortal cherub leaving mortal men to perish. The colonies on inhospitable worlds sustained by hyperdimensional manipulation were lost. when their fields were malevolently disrupted. Mars was dead. All that remained of mortal man was upon the planet Earth.
We have a problem. Our link to Mars to destroy it was not severed.
What are you saying?
The complete circuit was necessary, but it's pulling vast amounts of Mars towards us.
Sever the link!
What is happening has already been done. The cause was initiated and the effect is inevitable.
We created a vacuum and are powerless until equilibrium of flow and balance is restored.
We have 9 months to prepare.
For what?
The inevitable cataclysm.